Today is the start of Gemini season. I'm not really sure what the big deal is. Every day is Gemini season here at Google.
For years, AI lived inside single labs and single clusters. Google is now stretching that idea across the globe. With Gemini Ultra and DeepMind's research engine, its data centers begin behaving like one machine. Always on, always learning, always nearby. Today. The switch was flipped. When Google says an AI has turned on, it usually doesn't mean a single button in a single room. It means a model has moved from controlled testing into real traffic. Millions of real prompts, real latency limits, real failures, and real user expectations. That moment matters because it changes the system's job. It is no longer a model we are improving. It becomes a service we must keep alive. Gemini Ultra's public turned-on moment was tied to the launch of Gemini Advanced, where Google began offering access to Ultra 1.0 as a paid experience. That shift is important for your story. Once a flagship model is inside a consumer product, the engineering focus moves from can it reason to can it run everywhere, reliably, at scale. And everywhere is not a metaphor. Google Cloud publicly lists dozens of global regions, a worldwide footprint designed for low latency and resilience. Your script's planet-sized frame should connect to that reality. Not one giant computer, but many giant sites linked together. So the user experience feels like one brain responding instantly from wherever you are. One brain, many buildings. Here's the clean way to explain it without making unprovable claims. Gemini Ultra is one intelligence, but it can be served from many places. The model's mind is the same, its weights, its behavior, its capabilities. But the serving of that mind can be replicated across regions, so responses arrive fast and the service keeps running even if a zone has problems. That's what acting as one system should mean in a public-facing documentary, a unified interface backed by distributed infrastructure. Now bring in DeepMind the right way. DeepMind is not a separate operator in the loop pushing buttons during your chat. DeepMind is the research engine where the architecture, training methods, multimodal capability, reasoning improvements, and safety work are built. Then Google deploys that work into products like Gemini Advanced. So, in the narrative, DeepMind builds the brain, and Google's global platform keeps that brain awake, fast, and available. To make the 40-plus hyperscale centers line feel grounded, you can frame it like this. Google has a planet-scale cloud footprint of many regions, and Gemini-class systems can run across that footprint. You don't need to claim one prompt is split across 40 data centers. That's unlikely for latency reasons and not publicly documented. What you can say is, the same intelligence can appear in many places at once because Google can deploy and route traffic across a global network, the hidden conductor. If the AI is the brain, then orchestration is the nervous system, the part that decides where requests go, how capacity is allocated, and what happens when something breaks. Google has talked publicly about scheduling and orchestration layers for AI infrastructure, including systems under its AI Hypercomputer umbrella, and tools like Dynamic Workload Scheduler for managing accelerators at scale. This is your documentary's flight control room moment. Not glamorous, but it's the reason the whole thing feels like one machine. Under the hood, this kind of platform thinking is not new for Google. Google even published research on Borg, its large-scale cluster management system, which helps illustrate the philosophy. Schedule huge workloads, keep services reliable, assume failures will happen, and design so the system keeps moving anyway. You can reference Borg as the historical backbone, then explain that modern AI workloads are pushing this philosophy into a new extreme. And there's one more planet-sized ingredient people forget: electricity. Google has publicly described carbon intelligence/carbon-aware computing, where movable compute jobs can shift to cleaner grids depending on hourly carbon-free energy availability. In story terms, it's like the AI doesn't just move across geography for speed. It can also move for power. That turns global scale into a living strategy. the system can chase low latency for users and cleaner energy for operations, depending on what matters in the moment. When parts fail, the system stays awake. A planet-sized system is only impressive if it survives failure, and failure is guaranteed. Power drops, fiber links break, entire zones go offline. Google's global platform is built on the assumption that something is always wrong somewhere, and that users should never notice. When a zone or data center has trouble, traffic is rerouted automatically to healthy regions. For users, this may look like nothing more than a slight delay, or no delay at all. Behind the scenes, replicas of the same Gemini intelligence are already running elsewhere, ready to take over. This is why the system feels always on. It's not that nothing breaks, it's that breakage is expected, planned for, and absorbed. This is also where the phrase acting as one system becomes real. A single failure doesn't end a conversation. It doesn't crash the service. The AI keeps responding because it isn't tied to one building or one cluster. Its identity is unified, but its body is distributed. The energy wall nobody talks about. At this scale, intelligence is limited by electricity more than algorithms. Large AI systems don't just consume power, they reshape grids. Google has acknowledged this reality publicly by investing heavily in clean energy and by designing systems that can shift flexible workloads across regions and time zones. Not every AI task needs to happen instantly. Some workloads, training, batch inference, background processing, can move to places where renewable energy is abundant right now. Sun in one region, wind in another. Lower carbon intensity elsewhere. The system adapts. This matters for your story because it explains why Google doesn't centralize everything in one mega facility. A single site becomes a bottleneck, technical, environmental, and political. A distributed AI can grow without collapsing under its own power demand. Planet-scale intelligence is as much an energy strategy as it is a computing one. What planet-scale AI enables. So, what does this actually unlock? First, global responsiveness. Users in different parts of the world interact with the same intelligence, without waiting seconds for signals to cross oceans. The AI feels local everywhere, even though it's globally coordinated. Second, continuous availability. There is no night shift, no quiet hours. As one region sleeps, another carries the load. The system never truly powers down. Third, rapid evolution. Updates, safety improvements, and new capabilities can roll out globally without rebuilding the entire system. The intelligence evolves while staying online. And finally, integration at infrastructure level. This is not just a chatbot. The same intelligence can power search, productivity tools, developer platforms, and future agents, because it's already embedded in the backbone that runs those services. This is where Google's advantage shows, not because the model is magically smarter, but because the delivery system is unmatched in scale and maturity. The quiet limits. Despite the ambition, this is not science fiction AGI running the planet. There are limits, and important ones. The AI does not decide where it runs. Orchestration is still policy-driven, engineered, and human-controlled. The model doesn't move itself across continents. Schedulers do. The system is also complex to the point that no single human can see all of it at once. Monitoring, debugging, and controlling behavior at this scale is an ongoing challenge. Errors still happen. Bias still appears. Safety still requires constant work. And while distribution improves resilience, it also raises new questions about energy use, water consumption, regulation, and who ultimately governs intelligence that exists everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Why Google is doing this. Google's long-term direction becomes clearer here. This is not about winning a benchmark. It's about making intelligence a permanent layer of global infrastructure, like the web, like electricity, like GPS. DeepMind's mission has always pointed toward increasingly capable general systems. Google's platform turns that research into something operational, intelligence that serves billions, adapts in real time, and never sleeps. The moment Gemini Ultra turned on at global scale, AI stopped being a product you download and started becoming a system you live inside. If this glimpse into planet-scale I changed how you see intelligence, like, share, and subscribe, because the future just switched on.